Welcome everyone, this is NKBA. You are here for the second webinar of the month on designing with surfaces. We want to thank Kohler for their generous sponsorship for all of our webinars for the month of August. Today's session is called Modern Materials for Contemporary Design with Nelson Wills, who's the Vice President of Business Development for Element Designs. And Nelson, if you're there, we're ready to get started. Thank you.
Debbie, thank you, and welcome everyone out there. Appreciate your time and excited to kind of dive in here and really just give you guys some knowledge on what we're seeing from a design standpoint as trends continue to go in the direction of contemporary, modern, and really just mixing materials as an overall trend. So, as Debbie mentioned, big thanks to Kohler for sponsoring this, doing all the legwork, and Debbie with NKBA. This whole thing's been smooth. It's been a pleasure working with you. So just to get in and get started, and as a reminder, please don't hesitate to shoot questions as they come up. Debbie will prompt me and we'll roll back and answer those, and we will have time at the end to dive in. But we are Element Designs. We manufacture aluminum, glass, and some acrylic materials. Just quick background before we dive in. Manufacture everything in Charlotte, North Carolina, using domestic materials. Everything is custom. We have about 60,000 square feet of manufacturing space, about 80 employees, just so you have an idea of who we are. Now, at this point, I stop saying any brands, including ours, and we jump into the educational part. So just some housekeeping as we move through. Bear with me real quick. I'm not indexing. All right, guys, a little bit of technical difficulty. Hang on. Just bear with me real quick. Okay. Sorry about that. I've got to go manual mode to index. But anyway, some housekeeping. This is a AIA approved credit, as well as IDCEC, NKBA. I believe those of you with NKBA will be self-reporting. Webinar instructor led. It also has 1 hour of health, safety, welfare, which is important to the architects in the audience. Some of those who need certification will get that to you as we wrap up, and you guys give us your email addresses. So you're going to hear me say aluminum, glass, and high gloss acrylic a number of times, but those are the 3 materials that we're going to dive deep into. Very contemporary, very high grade materials. We're going to look at the inherent qualities of each of the materials, how they may be incorporated into your designs. We're going to review the options and applications, talk about how to specify these materials in your individual projects. And finally, we're going to look at a few case studies, some building typologies where these materials have been used and can be used. So there are going to be 4 key sections, if you will. So first, we're going to dive into the materials, characteristics, then we discuss design applications, then we look at specification criteria, and then the 4th, and the fun one, is look at different and very, very cool projects where aluminum and glass have been used in even some transitional spaces. But a lot of these will be modern, more contemporary. You'll see a lot of residential, but also a lot of commercial. So just very versatile materials where they can be used, from hospitality to educational, when you get into glass boards, that sort of thing. So by the end of this, hopefully you guys are experts in these 3 materials. So to get started, the sequence will always be, when we're looking at materials, aluminum first, glass second, and then high gloss third. So diving into aluminum, uh, a lot of really cool characteristics. It's uh, sustainable, basically forever. It's an elemental metal, very durable, no VOCs, volatile organic compounds emitting from aluminum. It's basically solid state. Very small amounts of energy used to produce materials such as doors and drawer fronts. And also, aluminum can be recycled endlessly over and over again. Post-industrial, sure everybody's had a soft drink in a can. That is post-industrial recycled aluminum. Is a elemental metal. It can be recycled over and over again, literally forever, without degradation of physical properties. It's estimated that about 1 billion tons of primary aluminum have been produced since 1888. So 1888, that's about 140 years. And it's believed that over 75% of 1 billion tons is still in use today. Very durable, as mentioned, extremely long lifespan, maintenance free. The energy required is down more than 25% since 1995 to produce aluminum, basically taking the raw material into different applications such as aluminum studs, things like aluminum frame cabinet doors. Can also be repurposed to create an updated look. And you want to find manufacturers that practice sustainable reclamation programs, recycle all post-industrial byproducts. So inherently sustainable, combined with the extrusion process, make aluminum the number one choice for building in the future from an environmental standpoint. The aluminum as a building materials first used in the construction of the Empire State Building, the spire is made out of aluminum. That's the first major project, previously used as adornment, other applications, but not structurally. So it has been used for a while. The majority or all of the buildings going up now have key aluminum components. Obviously some steel in there for, the structural members, but the strength to weight ratio on aluminum versus steel is very high. So aluminum is much lighter weight, but still very strong. Not as strong as steel, but much lighter and very rigid as a building material. So using aluminum, it's an ideal way to bring contemporary elements into various designs. It can accentuate, highlight cabinetry using a variety of different materials. Again, mixture of materials, wood, laminate, high gloss surfaces, unlimited design possibilities. What we're looking at here is aluminum frame cabinet doors in the center, as well as tall doors on the left and right of this residential section. These are using a architectural resin insert. So using the aluminum frame as a structural element to these doors, much stronger than a wood door where, construction is a different ball game. These are never going to warp, fade, discolor. I want to find manufacturers that have a limited lifetime warranty on the aluminum products which they manufacture. When we talk about glass, many benefits here. It is sustainable. It's virtually inert, meaning it never changes its form. 100% recyclable, reusable, refillable, safe to store food and beverage in. We eat off of it, drink out of it. Once again, 100% recyclable with no loss of quality or purity. So materials we're looking at are all recyclable. They have a lot of the same green environmental attributes, which is also something you want to find manufacturers, regardless of what the material is, wood or just different composites. We want to use materials that can be reused over and over, ideally.
Okay, Nelson, there's a question here for you. How well does aluminum work in high-frequency earthquake areas?
That is a good question. That would be for a structural engineer in building to determine. So I can't give an exact answer, but again, very high strength to weight ratio. That is something that is more foundational, how you're tying that structure into the earth. As well, we've got hurricane impact resistant glass, which have an aluminum frame. That's a building code requirement in Florida. So can't give an exact answer, although it, as materials, these are very strong, very durable. So I apologize, I can't give a complete answer, but hopefully that steers you enough. Thank you for the question. All right, continuing with glass. Glass is a natural resource. It's abundant. As most of you might know, it is sand, which is taken to a cauldron. If you've ever seen a glass float plant, it's something else. It's a ribbon coming out of a cauldron that is over a mile long. But during the production of glass, there is always waste. Well, 20% of glass being produced is using recycled glass to manufacture new glass. So again, closed loop sustainability, and will never change its characteristics over time. Glass is arguably the longest, or the material that's been made by man the longest. We can trace it back to the Egyptians, where they melted sand and created jewelry essentially out of glass particles, which can be colored and many different applications. So glass has been produced for about 3,500 years by man, which is pretty cool when you think about that. And where the use is today, I have a feeling everybody's looking at a screen that's made of glass. So it's all around us, and when we watch where the possibilities go, literally limitless with glass being around us on a daily basis. The glass industry is growing significantly as applications evolve. A car is not bigger than it was 30 years ago, but it's got a lot more glass. As another example. So some pictures here, with the top left being a glass cabinet door without a frame, etched glass, which we'll talk briefly about later, painted glass that we have in this kind of fascia wall application. Very durable, not going to stain, very easy to clean. High gloss acrylic. So what we're looking at here is a cast material, so cast between sheets of glass, believe it or not, in a pellet form, heated, then cooled, and the result is a 3/4 inch thick sheet of acrylic, which is cut, sanded, polished into luxury cabinet doors. Very high end in this case, and also materials we're looking at here are all on the higher end of the spectrum, but that's due to how they're manufactured from a customization standpoint, the lead time, and these are all highest, A+ grade materials. So this material, the high gloss acrylic, engineered to be durable, environmentally friendly, comes in numerous color options, different edge details because it's solid, homogeneous, great for commercial, high traffic interiors, as well as spaces where humidity is an issue. This high gloss acrylic is literally submersible indefinitely, so it's never gonna change. It's always gonna stay in the same molecular compound without loss of property. So that is section 1. Now we're going to jump over and go to section 2, which are to describe the interior design applications for the 3 materials. So right here, we're looking at a lot of different things. So countertops, whether they're commercial, residential, um, surfacing applications, bathroom vanities, uh, LED uh, systems with aluminum frames and glass as the illuminator, large sliding doors, cabinet doors, drawer fronts. So starting with aluminum frame systems, really they're an ideal way to incorporate sleek and sophisticated materials into just, well, really any space. They accentuate and highlight contemporary, modern, even eclectic, transitional, traditional cabinetry styles. So we have aluminum frame doors on the upper cabinets so we can see through them. We can see the aluminum frame. Above that, we also have an aluminum frame door with a painted glass that is bonded to the surface of the aluminum. So you have the structural characteristics of the aluminum, but it is simply carrying the door where the hardware connects. Same thing on the bottom on the base cabinet. So those are aluminum frame drawer fronts, once again with painted glass bonded to the surface. Different other aluminum materials here, a gap or Gola type hardware system where you can see the gap under the countertop and in between the drawer fronts that basically hide that space but give you the ability to reach around and open the door or drawer front. A trend in contemporary is lack of adornment, lack of decorative handles in these applications.
Nelson, we could jump back for a second. There's a question here about heat resistance for acrylic. Can you answer that question?
Yeah, heat resistance, direct versus indirect. If we have a flame on the acrylic, it will start the melting process, and the byproduct is going to be smoke. Not it's not exactly flammable, but in an indirect heat application, these solid acrylic doors and panels are used around cooking, even in commercial environments, but certainly within the home. We frequently see orders of 30 doors and drawer fronts for one single kitchen, which is above a stove with glass. We have glass bordering stoves, so not direct applications. If anything gets hot enough, it's gonna melt. But that point is we're approaching 200-degree F before that would be a concern. So aluminum frame cabinet doors, a lot of them used as accents, like we're looking at here. Just a nice way to add some color, some contrast to different interiors, maintaining a simple design. Base cabinet, pantry doors can be used individually or in some cases a full kitchen, especially with backpainted glass as a front. But completely unlimited design possibilities. Clear glass. It's a trend that we're seeing and not, I wouldn't say thrilled about, simply because clear is the most economical option, but it's where designs are going, where you need a buffer. And one concern instead of open cabinetry, depending on the environment, can be dust. And this barrier allows the visibility, the transparency, and also, accomplishes the application. So, variety of options that we'll get into, from clear to painted to some of the resins with that that orange insert inside the frame. A few slides ago, shelving systems where the openness is part of the design requirement. So we're looking at here is the vertical with the illuminated panels on the back wall, then aluminum doors on the upper cabinets and aluminum doors along with a shelf on the far right and far left of the base cabinets. A little bit hard to see from this image, but that's what you're looking at. Also, you see the shelving system hanging under the upper cabinets, so just more working space not behind glass in this particular application. The shelving can come in forms such as a cube, which can be large or small, custom configurations. Uses credenzas, standing shelving units built on a wall, potentially hanging from a ceiling. Recommend new construction for that application. So very versatile, has modern style and in a very simplistic form that's fully functional. Another shelving system which is very clean from a design standpoint, very strong, suitable for commercial space. You see a lot of this in home office. Shelving is adjustable from a height standpoint. Weight capacities per shelf over 150 pounds. So institutional applications have been a very popular one for this particular shelving system. Notice everything's aluminum and glass, but in these cases with these shelves, you can easily use a wood shelf with the aluminum as the shelving structure. Of course, glass is nice too, but whatever the shelving substrate is, works with any of these shelving systems that we're reviewing. Product that we haven't talked about is an aluminum frame base system. So basically a structure where can be a tabletop, can be a base for cabinetry like we have in the vanity. Very versatile, multiple finishes. Once again, every configuration. You want to find manufacturers that essentially you submit a design, a drawing, and that's what you get in a minimal amount of time, domestically manufactured with domestic raw material suppliers. So kind of a close-up, we've talked about backpainted glass panels. These are aluminum frame doors with, in this case, a metallic bronze painted glass bonded to the surface of the door. So nice reveals, glass continuous without a break with the frame. Just a nice high-end, very sleek application here in a kitchen. For horizontal solutions, a lot of tabletops, whether they're home office, conference space, casual space, in open office environments, which we're seeing more and more of in the office area where private offices are starting to shrink. Community work areas, backpainted glass is a table. Glass inherently is extremely easy to clean. Unlike other substrates, which are porous, glass is non-porous, which is a byproduct of that is the ability to write and erase on glass, which we'll talk a little bit more about, but very functional and useful in multiple applications. Also can be round, can be radius corners, different cutouts, elliptical, unlimited design possibilities. So byproduct of glass is the ability to write and erase, can be magnetic, and that's accomplished by a ferrous metal on the back side, on the paint side of the glass. So you're looking through the glass at the paint. On the paint side, there's simply a ferrous metal sheet, and then you want to find manufacturers that have very simple hanging hardware that the installer appreciates it at the end of the day. The stained glass used in educational, even a lot of it in residential spaces and children's rooms and mud rooms, home offices are huge. So folks can map out their objectives, their plans. Seeing a massive surge in home office applications, which you designers out there, hopefully you're tracking on that and expanding from kitchens or closets or whatever your focus is. Home office is a big emerging space that is happening in a big percentage of homes around the country. Etched glass, which can be customized, different designs, privacy screens on clear glass, those of you who are designers, just use your imagination with how etched glass can be incorporated. Glass shelving, probably seen a ton of this through the years, but if you're designing glass doors, it's a fine touch. See a lot of glass doors with wood shells behind them, and aesthetically it looks good, but it could look great, and that's a matter of opinion. But glass shells behind glass doors. Glass is between a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch in thickness. That's another design detail. They can also be aluminum frame like we have in the top image with the tinted glass option. So along with shelving, there are also illuminated aluminum frame glass panels. So let's look at I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but if you can't, I'm looking at the right side of the kitchen with the blue highlight. The shelves beyond basically the upper cabinets, those are illuminated. We've got illuminated shelves in the hospitality and the bar under the TVs. So illuminated glass panels or shelving glow in all directions. So see a lot of this in hospitality. We hear a lot of let's just say revenue improvements by bringing attention to product on display. Residentially, we see a lot of wine bars, but we also see a lot of recognition areas in a home office where awards. Someone wants to display things that they're proud of or have accumulated. Really brings attention to it with an illuminated glass shelf. Close-ups here. Once again, very functional, durable, and design friendly for a variety of applications.
Nelson, excuse me, someone's asking where can they get the illuminated glass shelves?
There is a company called Element Designs that manufactures them. Depends on where you're located. I would suggest reaching out to our customer service department. We are a wholesale manufacturer, meaning we do not sell to the public. We work with designers and kitchen or office casework manufacturers. So any of your lines, if you will, has access to all of these products that we're looking at today. I hope I answered that question completely. Okay, third section, specification criteria. What some of the options are, and by no means is it everything. And if you do not have one of our catalogs, just drop Debbie a note. We'll make sure that can happen. But you'll see a lot of the different design options, specification criteria for the 3 key materials we're diving into today. So with aluminum frame cabinet doors, we have different finishes. So finishes meaning coating or chemical. So anodized is a chemical strengthening, surface strengthening process, which also can add color. There are specialty finishes which are also anodized. They're a little bit more difficult to achieve, so not exactly available across the whole spectrum of the different products. There are metallic finishes, powder coat finishes. Based on a little bit of volume, there can be custom colors, whether it's powder coat or the metallics or even a solid color in the visible spectrum. So a lot of possibilities with finishing of the aluminum that would be a specifiable item. With the aluminum frame cabinet doors, multiple frame profile dimensions, geometries. Again, looking at the different finishes. So depending on the design, what profile works best with the surrounding environment and in which color. Insert options, glass, painted glass, acrylic. This is just a small snapshot of what is available. Pretty cool application here with a tinted kind of smoke gray glass with the border of the glass being painted black on a black powder coated aluminum frame in a bifold lift up application. So I know I just said a lot, but so tinted glass, painted border on a black powder coat frame. So just there's some really cool design possibilities mixing glass with paint with aluminum and all the finishes in aluminum. Sliding door systems, seen a surge in this, especially with spaces, some living spaces getting smaller. Um, Overall, living spaces are getting bigger, but in the metropolitan areas, we're seeing things get smaller where projection into working areas can be a little bit of an issue.
Nelson, a question here about how is anodized aluminum used in shower systems, or is it? Are there also metal trims for it?
Yeah, and I have an aluminum frame shower, and it is anodized. Anodizing basically hardens the surface, gives it a little bit of texture, and protects it. Non-anodized aluminum is commonly referred to as mill finish. It is silver and glossy and very susceptible to scratching. So anodization actually goes into the material itself, gives it a texture, and then hardens the outside. It's basically taking it through some etching, some caustic etching processes. But by the time it gets to you, it's by the time it would get to a manufacturer, it's very easy to use, handle, work with, and naturally resist uh, scratching. But yes, your shower doors are likely, with high certainty, anodized aluminum. All right, jumping along, sliding doors, floor sliding systems. This is in a military base of all things, just hiding some closets. Top hanging systems, great for passage applications. You would not do this with a wood door. You really can't. Spans of up to 10 feet. Carrying glass is not an application for wood. Small door cabinet systems. This really goes back to what I was saying earlier with spaces becoming tighter and doors projecting or anything projecting into working space in any environment. Sliding doors offer a nice solution to that. Aluminum shelving systems, just another design possibility using aluminum and glass. So although this image is during daylight hours, there are illuminated shelving inside this overall aluminum shelf system. And like I said, obviously a wall hung application. So different configurations for shelving, same finish options, custom configurations, different. Again, doesn't have to be glass shelving. Can overlay or inset on the left, overlay on the right. Pictures hopefully tell the story. So the off the wall shelving system, again, I mentioned this for institutional, very strong, rigid, simple. Woodworkers can, the picture bottom center, woodworker can build a wood shelf using the structural benefits of the aluminum shelving system. You can also have a fascia or a cap just to make the overall system blend or camouflage if aluminum doesn't quite work for the design. Also finished in any of the colors, which just add, when we talk about mixing materials, we're also looking at ways to mix color and aluminum with the the new finishing capabilities. Just open up a spectrum of design solutions. We talked about the base briefly, just basically a bigger version of the cubic shelving system. See a lot of applications for mobile islands like we have in the top, can have a caster, leveling feet, or straight to the ground. Bases for cabinets been a popular application. Different profiles, very, very, very high strength. The different support options, as we mentioned, locking casters. These can be mobile workstations, mobile tables. So some configurations, basically a single height. Keep in mind, I would say 90% of probably 98% of everything is customized. Some mill workers actually build cabinets that slide inside the openings here, so you get the best of both. A wood cabinet drawer, but you're using the aluminum as the skeleton. So moving to painted glass, a lot of wall clad applications, cabinetry, marker boards like we have in the bottom right picture in an office setting. Colors, actually we have, sorry, not we, but there are 177 standard colors, but what is produced is white and custom. So Sherman-Williams, a piece of material that has a color can be matched and then coated onto the back painted or coated onto the glass. Everything is water based. I really recommend you only specify water based paint, whether it's for the metallic coating on the aluminum is water based. Powder coating is powder, but the back painted glass is also water based. Just a quick snapshot guideline of the different thicknesses available, gloss or matte. Finishing, if we need polished edges. If you can seal the edge, seamed is fine. It's basically a sanded edge. But if it's exposed, a flat edge polish is the recommendation. Recommended use is the two thinner 5/32 and 1/4 inch. Can be used both vertical and horizontal. The two thicker are only horizontal, and that's due to weight. 1/4 inch glass is 3 pounds per square foot. And as a structural note there, 1/4 inch glass is rated at 75 pounds per square foot. So 1 square foot weighs 3 pounds, but it can hold up to 75 pounds. And that only goes up as we get thicker. For example, 1/4 inch, 6 pounds a square foot, and close to 150 pounds from a strength standpoint. So very, very, very strong materials that are all natural, coated with water-based paint. The high gloss acrylic, a few things here, different colors, different edge treatment options. Because this is solid, homogeneous, it can be routed, sanded, and that gloss can be brought through the polishing steps, can be brought back on the edges. So top and mentioned earlier, it's cast between glass, so it's perfectly smooth, a mirror-like finish, no orange peel. It's basically it's specular mirror grade finish on the two surfaces, and then the edges can be cut, sanded, polished to match the finishes on the surface. All right, so now we're going to jump into different project types where the aluminum, glass, and acrylic have been used to solve the design intent. So different industry segments here: hospitality, office, kitchen, bath, retail, a lot of residential. We're looking at backpainted glass on the far wall, a glass tabletop in the foreground, a little breakfast area it looks like, and then you see the white columns. Again, with daylight, it's hard to see illumination, but especially with all this daylight, I think looking through the windows, it's got a lot of sunshine. But anyways, illuminated shelving on that wall there. aluminum doors with clear glass. The lighting here is actually coming from the inside of the cabinet, but really, really nice effects. We don't see a lot of these, but it's still cool nonetheless with high-end garages, whether they're uh, at shops, high-end shops, or in someone's home. This is backpainted glass on one of the frames where the glass is bonded to it. The just above the tools, that is again a tinted glass, similar to what we looked at with that lift up door, where it has the border painted and a frame behind it, which is likely the same color as the paint. Nice monochromatic blend, something like this. A bronze back painted glass with the same frame with the glass bonded to it. Nice mixture of materials here, nice mixture of colors. Back painted glass doors, which would be, push to open, lift up, or could be hinged, but just a nice way to add some color, kind of tying in the tiles, and flows nicely with all the wood tones. Painted glass used in commercial spaces, mentioned byproduct of writability, that an aluminum glass door is naturally a marker board. So there could be notes that are left for shift 2, or your coworker that is coming in the next morning. Check your email, whatever. Great for healthcare due to the antimicrobial properties of aluminum and glass. Again, both non-porous, easy to wipe down, easy to clean. Really no harmful cleaning agents that I'm aware of that will harm aluminum or glass. Just perfect example of how durable glass is, a grid glass floor, which let's say got a lot of activity. This was a project that kept going for years with reconfigurations. See a lot of glass in the automotive showroom area. This is actually at the North American Auto Show. Illuminated panels with architectural resin. This is the orange part. Illuminated shelves on either side of it. So lighting is, you guys know this better than I do, but lighting is becoming so key to interior design. The emergence of LEDs.
Nelson, there's a question here about, can bleach be used on these products?
I've never had or heard of an issue with Clorox or anything else. The only caution I would have is using a liquid on the painted surface of our water-based painted glass, because it's water-based. But no, on the aluminum itself, on the smooth surface of the glass, the front-facing surface, no issues. We use some pretty rudimentary things here to clean the material. It ships out of here in pristine format, so no foreseen issues with Clorox, and that would be probably the most extreme household chemical that someone would have. But a non-abrasive cloth, water, Windex, 99% isopropyl alcohol is used all day, every day, by folks who clean glass all day, every day. So here we're looking at a nice office application, sliding doors up top, marker boards down below. So the doors and the, call it a backsplash marker board, basically, naturally writable, could be erasable or could be magnetic. I'm not sure. I don't see anything on these. Another healthcare application with the solid high gloss acrylic. Again, no, it's nowhere for bacteria, viruses to hide. in a retail setting, great for high traffic areas. But the design is when you need the pop. Uh, Typically higher end, but mixing just a little bit of some of these materials can totally change the perception of the environment they're in. Illuminated shelves displaying handbags, shoes. We see it all the time. Pretty kitchen here. Backpainted glass doors on the uppers. Border painted, frosted. Just adds a nice element to the other painted glass doors. Conference room. So using the base system as the table itself. Backpainted glass conference room tabletop, large aluminum frame sliding doors, etched glass, marker board on the back wall with illuminated panels on the left and right side. Another conference room application, room divider sliding doors. In the foreground left, a base system used as a small table. Aluminum doors used in the office in the uppers. Really pretty closet. Debbie, thank you for sharing this picture with us. That was a joke for everybody out there. So aluminum frame doors, clear glass, even back painted glass drawer fronts, kind of the cream off-white type color that we're looking at in the center. But again, nice barrier with the clear glass, so perfect visibility of the contents and keeps everything nice and clean. So some quick case studies, and I want to leave some time for questions here, but this is in Knoxville, Tennessee, of all places. It super fancy garage. The wife wanted to get her husband something for his birthday that he didn't have. He's sitting on a Studebaker and Lamborghini, which supposedly was in the shop. His son had banged into something, but type thing that just want to do something over the top. So this is high gloss solid acrylic in the blue, actually cobalt blue, illuminated shelving, doors that lift up, aluminum frame glass. The application to see it in person, which I haven't, but I know folks who have. Stunning is the word. We've been heavily involved with Virginia Tech, their School of Architecture, and the Future House project, which is won the last two global competitions for construction sustainability. For example, this home that we're looking into, the Future House, is an energy positive construction. So it actually contributes to the grid, doesn't take away from it, but everything is very efficient. A lot of glass, a ton of glass. That's all we're really looking at. Glass flooring, which is more of a design thing than anything else, but using technology in glass, smart refrigerators with sensors that can reorder your milk. You put your milk in the same spot. When you get down to third, it will reorder. It's got chutes for drone deliveries. Just they're really proposing some cool things. If you're not familiar with it, just Google it, and you'll see a lot of the. I mean, it was in Times Square 2 months ago. It was in the mall of DC. It's an interesting project as you guys design interior spaces to know where technology and solutions might be going. This is all proposed, not exactly in production, but some of this will be, and it's we're very thankful to be a part of it. The final case study is actually a old movie theater from the 50s or so that was converted into a nice restaurant. A lot of the elements of theater were left intact, but some of them had to go. If you see the TVs on the left-hand side picture, you see the steel beam, and that kind of dates the structure right there. But the owner wanted a centerpiece that added a modern element to the old theater, to the restaurant, and the solution was a base system basically with illuminated shelving, and the illuminated shelving can have a color changing option, which is what this was. They tend to leave it on one color, but for Valentine's Day it's red, or for the spring it may be green, or if they're hosting a corporate event it can be corporate colors. So the net result here was a very cool solution, and the restaurant owner actually owns 3 or 4 restaurants in the greater metropolitan area. This restaurant has the most sales at the bar, which is because of the illumination, according to him, which we're not going to disagree with. So it really brings attention to objects that are on illuminated surfaces. So with that, I am wrapping everything up. So to review what we've talked about, we have reviewed the different materials. We've looked at different design applications. We have some of the specification parts, and there are CSI formatted specifications for each of these products for those of you in the commercial design where you have a well, you need specifications. And then we've looked at a few of the projects where the aluminum, glass, and acrylic can be or have been incorporated. So with that, we will take questions, and I greatly appreciate the time. Thank you again to Kohler. Debbie, thank you for moderating and steering us through.
Okay, Nelson, thank you so much. It's been really interesting. And again, I want to thank Kohler. And we do have a question. And if any of you out there want to add some questions to the chat, we're open now for questions. And one of these questions is, what types of hinges are used on aluminum frame doors?
Standard 35 millimeter cup hinges, Bloom, Salici, whoever. Just they need to be screw on, not the press in, but screw-ons available with any of them. We actually stock and supply them just for convenience. So yeah, standard hinges, standard connections for any wood door hardware has been designed to work with the aluminum frame doors.
Great. Another question here about, can you reiterate how the high gloss acrylic is made?
Sure. So it's a polymer that is in pellet form that is heated, so it becomes think of a syrup, and that is poured in between 2 sheets of glass. These things are made at 2 meters by 3 meters, which is what, 118 by, let's say, 85. So pretty big sheets. But anyways, poured in between 2 sheets of glass, clamped, sealed edges, and then quenched. So cooled in a bath of cool water, and then the frame or the casting is opened up, and there we have the sheet of acrylic, which is actually made in Austria, and we are the North American fabrication partner, the exclusive fabrication partner for this particular material. Difference is other high gloss materials are going to be a laminated, on a core. There's some glue there. Humidity can have some detrimental effects. We just as mentioned earlier, we only use the highest grade materials, things that we can put a lifetime warranty, manufacturer's defects covered, and it's never going to change, degrade, discolor, warp, just change in general over its functional lifetime, which you can't do with other materials.
I'm not sure if you hear me. Thanks, Nelson. Okay, so there was a question much earlier, and I think it was in reference to the glass shelving that you were talking about. And the person was asking, they said that they noticed that they were all striped. Are there any without striping?
Yes, great question. And that's a fairly new development where it's a illuminated full frost. We don't have images of that in the CEU, but yes, it is. The original design was lines which kind of act like a fiber optic, But yeah, it has been developed without lines in addition to the lines, but that's surging pretty quick from a design standpoint. So you don't see the lines, which some may like, some may not. So yes, we have the non-line version now.
Okay, thank you. There's another question here about, are there any minuses to using these materials? So I'm assuming the three materials that you've pretty much talked about today. Are there any negatives to these?
Well, glass can be dangerous. Um, I highly, and I say highly is not the right word. It needs to be only recommend tempered glass. Or if it's not tempered, like a mirror, it's got a safety backer on it. Uh, Glass can be dangerous if it's not tempered. It will break into shards and it easily will cut human flesh, which that's a negative. But the workaround is that we only allow tempered glass in our facility. Um, Other negatives with aluminum, from a durability standpoint, a longevity standpoint, no. Technically, I guess you could say we aluminum and glass compete with wood. Wood is going to deteriorate. Uh, Aluminum and glass don't. We've been making doors and shipping them to South Florida for 16 years. It was actually our first main market. We supply a lot of the acrylic doors to Hawaii, which is literally the worst environment on the planet from a material standpoint. It's great to visit or live there, but everything is exposed to Mother Nature all day long. All the homes are open. Uh, we do not have any issues coming from those environments. So very minimal downside. Um, Everything's sustainable, reusable, recyclable, unlike some other parts. So I think there are a lot of advantages with very little disadvantages.
Okay, great. There was a question here about where are the illuminated glass shells available. So I'm assuming you can speak to that.
Yeah, same thing as previously alluded to. First of all, or second of all, on our website, there's a where to buy section. Um, but many of your suppliers, they may already work with us, but they have access so they can uh, purchase based on your design uh, into the cabinetry. Should you be a kitchen cabinet designer, uh, or there are some other outlets to explore on our website, some online retail type distributors that you can work with as well. Uh, Please also call our customer service team for direction on where to buy, where to see locally. We have showrooms that feature our materials. Let's say all over the country. We're not we don't have Apple stores or department stores, but showroom type spaces. A lot of them will have our stuff, have our samples, and also have access to purchase these materials on your behalf.
Very good to know. Okay, another question for you. Can you provide an integral sink into your 12 millimeter glass tops?
Are you talking about it? So my question to that question, we're talking about hanging it, bonding it from the backside, or are we talking about laying it on top of a cutout? Actually, I guess I'll answer both. Laying on top of a cutout, no problem. So we'd have the flange carrying the load. You'd probably have a subtop under it just to back it up, which is common construction practice. To hang from that, we were actually working on a solution today, which is a bonded solution to hang the sink from the bottom of the glass itself, the painted side. So don't see any issues. I'm working with 3M on the adhesive solution. We do thoroughly test everything when I talk about bonding. We use bonding methods and materials that will not deteriorate or change our substrates. So that particular one is literally live and under development.
Okay, and I think that in addition to that, it was, can you guys slump it into a sink? So I'm not sure. If,
Uh, yeah, I would personally I would stay away from that. That is more of art than production. It can be done for sure. There's some artisans out there that do some wonderful work, but we would not be able to accomplish that based on our supply chain and our
yeah,
manufacturing.
and then so then the other thing is, or field bond the sink. So I think you just answered that question.
Correct.
Yes. Okay, and then there's one more. What are the issues for high gloss acrylic applications in homes in beach cities?
Debbie, say the first part of that, please.
I'm sorry. What are the issues for using high gloss acrylic applications in homes that are in beach cities?
Uh, Goes back to my little explanation of Hawaii and South Florida on the beach, exposed to the elements, no deterioration of the high gloss acrylic in those environments. Actually, it is, uh, could argue successfully, the most effective or best material for those environments versus, wood door is going to deteriorate. Um, there are stainless hinges out there, but the door itself, the material itself, is not going to be affected. So it will remain in pristine shape uh, for its lifetime.
Okay, well, Nelson, this has been great. You've answered a lot of great questions, and everyone's been saying it's a nice presentation. You've spent a lot of time on talking about the elements, and that you presented a lot of interesting ideas. So we want to thank you for that. We want to once again thank Kohler for their generous sponsorship for today's session. And once again, thank you, Nelson, for your time and your expertise, and all of you for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Appreciate y'all's time. Hopefully, learned a little bit and grabbed some inspiration from some of these images. If you want any of these images, feel free to pluck them off our website, put them in your presentations. Contact our customer service if you need anything else. I'm here too. So thank you guys, and Debbie, big thanks to you. This was super smooth.
Thank you again. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye bye.